Well, hello, everybody. Anybody hear us? Sound check. Syllabus. Check. Cash. Money order. Visa. All right. Cool, they can hear us. Excellent. All right. Well, welcome to G Club's Stop Collaboration Listen, the live edition. This is actually our 100th episode on the channel, and I'm very happy and pleased to have Chris from Panda Games on the show with us today to talk about his game Escape the Fest a little bit, talk about his adventures at PaXU, and then ask the question, is PaXU already a premier con to go after only 2 events under their belt? Oh, and you can hear me, but they cannot hear you. Well, all right. Well, I guess we need to fix that. So let me see if I can fix that. Oh, Plumpy Thimble said I can hear JT, but not Chris, so we're good. Okay. All right. So let me see if I can get that fixed real quick and see if we can get some audio capture. He is not. All right. Let's try that. Let's see. Sorry, I just gotta make sure it's showing up on all of our stuff. Okay, here we go. Go for it. Go for it, Chris.
All right.
See if they
So
can
Unique New York. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Kind of hearing a little something maybe on my end, maybe.
I can see it bouncing. So.
I'm going to unmute this YouTube channel real quick.
Ah, okay. It's coming up for him.
Okay.
Good. Oh, they want you to sing now.
Sing. Nope. I got nothing. Not the top of the head.
Yeah, I don't know if we should do that. That might lead to some other issues. So, all right. Excellent. All right, well, coming back to it. So I'm here with Chris from Panda Games, and as you can tell, this is our first live interview, just based off of the way things have started off. So hopefully this is not an omen of things to come.
It is an honor. First time.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you coming on with us, Chris. I do want to point out for some people in our audience that I do have the Totally Liquid expansion here already on my table. So it's ready to go for those people that haven't gotten theirs. It's somewhere up in Washington. So, all right. That was for you, Daniel. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a number of things. We're going to get to know Chris a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about his game, and then we're going to get in some questions around PaXU, get to know Chris a little bit more about some of his experiences around the industry, and then we're going to get into a lightning round set of questions that Chris has no idea what those questions are, and we're going to have a lot of fun throwing those at him and see how quickly his lightning reflexes are at this point in the game. You're
Hopefully,
gonna
I do not disappoint.
hopefully not, hopefully not. But there are a bunch of points on the line. So if you want to score points, you're gonna have to make sure you answer them correctly. So,
All
all
right,
right,
getting ready.
get stretched. All right. So here we go. So I'm gonna ask you, who are you? What is your role within Foolish Panda Games, and what dessert best describes you?
Yeah, well, my name is Chris Michelotti. I am the owner of Foolish Panda Games, and the best dessert that describes me, I would say, is probably lemon gelato, or limone, as they would say in Italy, because uh, I'm pretty much addicted to that stuff. I can eat it at any time, and when I was in Italy, I pretty much spent most of my extra cash that I had for spending money on lemon gelato. Um,
So it's already a part of you.
yeah, so it is a core part of who I am.
Well, I think with your last name, right? Is it Italian?
It is Italian. It is
Okay.
very much so.
All right. So, all right. Let's talk a little bit about Escape the Fest.
Sure.
Give us an overview. I think we have an expected release date, right?
So we've got the Kickstarter timeline.
Right.
Yeah, so we're looking at launching the Kickstarter on the 1st of April. So April Fool's Day for Foolish Panda Games as well. And just want to know a little bit about the game itself.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so Escape the Fest is a game where you are at a music festival with your friends. You're having a really good time, maybe a little too good of a time, and you realize one morning that everyone at the campsite has lost their stuff. So it is just a game where everyone is competing with one another, trying to prove who the best friend is to the squad members. And there are 5 of them, by helping them find all their lost items, and then also trying to remember to put your items into your trunk before the end of the festival, and whomever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, who would you say this game is for, and why should I back Escape the Fest?
Yeah, no, great question. Honestly, I would say this game is for anybody who has a lot of friends that they want to bring into the hobby. The main goal of this game is to be a gateway game to introduce people to other ways of playing games, or different techniques of playing games that are past, the classics of Monopoly or, Risk or what have you, which are, in my opinion, still fun games and great games to have around. But, as all of us know in the hobby, there's a lot more. And then as far as card games are concerned, it's for people who are at music festivals too. I designed the cards to make sure that you can play them on small table surfaces. So like even on the tops of coolers, if you wanted to, yeah, you can get away with playing the game. And the idea, it's a filler game. People who just want to have fun, maybe people who really enjoy party games, but they want a little bit more, actual gameplay or strategy involved versus just who can read their friends the best, type situations.
Yeah.
It is a game that I would say, younger kids and families can play as well. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. I have gotten rid of a lot of elements that would have made it an 18 and up game, and basically turned it into a game that I think everyone can enjoy, at all kinds of levels. And, it's really just whoever is at the party.
Okay.
So
it sounds like you made something portable to where while you're actually at a festival, you can play it at the festival.
yeah. The idea was that, when you're at a lot of music festivals and you're camping with your friends, sometimes, you've got some downtime, and, maybe you want to pull out a game and play that before you head to the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is Escape the Fest. I'm going to have all the information down in the description below, where you can find out more information about Escape the Fest, as well as more information about Chris and Foolish Panda Games. Next up here is what I would call the swing. This is where you get a chance to protect the plate and hit a few back in our direction by
Okay.
getting to know more about you, how to grow the industry, which I know is a topic that you're passionate about, and your trip to PaXU. So, and if there's any questions from the fans out here that are watching, all three of you, feel free to text those in as well, and we'll try to take them as they come. So, here we go. First question up is, what was that red pill moment that opened up your eyes to this hobby?
Honestly, I don't really have like a red pill moment that opened my eyes to the hobby. My family's always played board games ever since I was a little kid. Um, Family game night was very important to us, and we kind of, much like dinner time, family game nights were kind of a protected moment for all of us, and that was a time that I really got to shine with the family. Got it. I'm not the best. I wasn't the best winner as a kid, but as I got older, I was able to handle the wins with a little bit more grace, and the losses with a little less pouting. So it's not really just a moment, I guess, for me, but I guess what made me realize that I wanted to actually go into designing games was just it was actually after a music festival, and I got home and wanted to tell the story of a music festival and what kind of things I went through and what I saw and observed. And while I was writing down the story, it just kind of struck me that this would be a really fun game, and I always enjoyed kind of making games and stuff when I was a kid as well. So I kind of put the two together, and I was like, this is the level I want to go. This is the path I want to take. So
Okay. The Plumpy Thimble had a question.
yeah.
And let's see if we can get this in here. Hold on a second. And so Plumpy writes in here, is this something that if there's something I'll enjoy, even if I don't like music?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I think that people will enjoy Escape the Fest, even if they don't like. It's even because it's one of those games where even if you don't go to music festivals, you know a lot of stories already about. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat. You know a lot of the stories about music festivals. You've heard the battle stories from your friends who've gone out to a music festival and had either a really, really great time or just an awful time, and they're trying to warn you away from it. But I think overall, the idea of going to a large scale event, whether it be a convention, whether it be a music festival or a fair, we all have. There's a lot of shared experiences within all that, where people go, they have a great time, and we lose stuff because it's just part of the game
Experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, brother. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting as we go through this and the amount of fanfare we're getting from the peanut gallery over here. So
Yeah, no, I love it.
all right. As far as the board game industry is concerned, what do you enjoy most about working within the board game industry?
I mean, honestly, number one thing is always going to be the community. As far as entertainment industries go and the communities that surround it, those various forms of entertainment, I have not personally run into such a welcoming community, I would say. I think that outside of that, outside of that community, or I guess as an aside to that community, not only are the people who enjoy this form of entertainment so welcoming and awesome to get to know and talk to, but people within the industry itself are so helpful, and they want to see more people come into the industry and make an impact.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's certainly, it does feel like more like a community than just an industry. And I think that's one of the biggest draws to it, is that it seems like everybody knows everybody. And it's certainly a lot of fun to then interact with everybody that's involved in the community. And then when you're asking for advice, a lot of times you're not getting, this kind of snide remarks about, you should know this already kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of areas that already, kind of beat their own, so to speak. And I think the board game industry does a really good job at trying to, connect with one another, and help each other out. Because I think, and I could be wrong on this, that I think a lot of the philosophy is that the more we help each other out, the better it's going to be for everybody. And that just seems to be a general philosophy within the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. And I think that another thing that is an added benefit to us in this community right now currently is the fact that the industry or this profession, like, this is not, I should say, professionalized, meaning that there's not college courses somewhere like really breaking down the best way to make a board game, the best, the tried and true methods, and this is what you're supposed to do if you want to do this.
Yeah.
And so that separates us.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of there's a number of folks that are trying to do that, right? Like Professor Scott, right? And then you have some folks that are also trying to be helpful, like the ludology folks.
Oh yeah.
They're doing things, but it's not like it's widespread, right?
Yeah.
If you look at something like video game design, there is a ton of that out there compared to anybody else that's there. Here, Carter wants to say hi. Can you say hi?
Hi, Carter.
Hi. All right, bud. Yeah, I'm talking. You need to run. High five. Good job. Thank you. Okay. He's proud of himself. He said you're welcome. Okay. So, what are some things that, you would say, in, look, I keep looking at the chat. I keep making mistakes.
I know.
And so with that, what are some things that you would say that we could do to improve the board game, industry?
Yeah, honestly, I think right now, oh my God. I may do that in a second. Anyway, as to the industry as a whole, I think one of the biggest things that we could be doing is there's kind of twofold. I think that the support of indie publishers and indie creators from the larger, already established communities, I think is very important. When you look at the video game industry, you see a lot of support from the larger companies because they've come to see themselves less as creators and more of service providers. So when you look at Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, Nintendo's a little bit of an offshoot or a little odd one, but Sony and Microsoft especially, they spend a lot of money investing in indie designers and indie studios, game studios, because they know inevitably those games are going to be on their platforms and they want to see them succeed, because when those games succeed, they make more money and everyone goes home happy. But there's really not, at the current moment, because of what we are playing and what we're doing, it's how analog it is. There's not really a mode for publishers to kind of, I think, grasp that yet. But my thinking is, with the ever more expanding like oversaturation within the board game market, the publishers that are really going to succeed are going to be the publishers kind of like Asmodee, who purchased a bunch of smaller publishers and basically turned them into studios. And so they're taking notes from the video game industry, it seems like, and other more established entertainment industries by making these collectives, you know, basically work for them and through their titles and basically creating an umbrella. And so I guess, long story short, to bring all this back in, I think one of the things that would really benefit the industry is to see more publishers kind of going that route, finding the independent developers and creators and encouraging people like me and people my size to become studios rather than indie self-publishers. Not to say that, the self-publisher mode is dead. I would say that it's still very much alive, but I think as we move into the future, if we really want to protect ourselves and our industry from experiencing a 1980s downfall like the video game industry had with their home entertainment systems, we really should, in my opinion, take a step back and see what we can learn from that, that moment of time in gaming history, and see if there's a way that we can avoid that falling.
Yeah, so I think, what you're talking about is and this has been my perception for a long time, that with board games, you have a lot of designers and publishers that are doing this almost like a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing it full time, right?
Yes.
And you can tell sometimes the difference between the full-time folks, the professional, right, versus those that are in the industry kind of do it as a hobby, or they're doing a design. And
yes,
there are some people that you can't tell the difference, but when you have those design, what did you call them? Design studios, right? Where they're doing the designs, they're getting paid by the larger conglomerate to then publish it. They have the time and they have the focus and energy investment. Whereas, if you're doing a full-time job as well as trying to take care of other things around in your life, and then you're trying to do this on top of it, there are things that get missed, things that you're tired for, things that you don't, always get to, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that, I think it's important to, I think it is kind of important to separate the two in that sense that, you'll have a group of people, they make a great game, and they go into the industry, they go into the community, they take as much as they can out of that game, but then they might just kind of disappear because, like you said, they're not really in for the industry's sake. They're in it to, and not even like in a bad way. They're just in it to share a game, which is completely awesome. And when you look at things like, Kickstarter, that was the original intent and the original purpose, was for people to say, hey, I've got an idea, I want to make a project, let's make it happen. They do it, and then they go on with their lives, and now we're in a place where we're seeing Kickstarter, blurring the lines, and companies are using it as a pre-order system, and so with everything changing at such a with everything changing at such a fast pace, there does need to be, and I hate this term, but there needs to be some form of gatekeeping that happens to kind of control the flow of games that are coming out to the people. Because right now, you're lucky if you get 2 weeks on the brand new games at your friendly local game store.
Yeah, there's just so many coming out all the time. I just got a hold of the Alien Frontiers, right, which is the kind of OG, if you will, of Kickstarters that were really successful, that look like a real published game, right?
Nice.
And then you look at other ones like I've got Robin Hood here from Martin Poole, who I think you just talked to just a couple weeks ago, and they're above and beyond where they're at today. And I think some of what you're talking about is that subject of Kickstarter being early on, and how it kind of took a little bit to get its legs up underneath it, to where it used to be, that you could tell that that's a Kickstarter game, right? Versus a regularly published game. And now that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
So when you said that, that's why I was kind of fishing out. I wasn't ignoring you. I was trying to get
No,
that
no,
out of
you're
there.
totally fine.
But yeah, I think it's certainly something that we're going to continue growing in as an industry as we figure out what the market really looks like, and as
Yep.
well as we start growing the market, that kind of changes some of the dynamics, I would imagine too.
I think it
while
really
while you're
does.
working.
And I think another thing that's really interesting is as more games keep flooding the market, one of my biggest fears, I guess, associated with that too, is that as people are getting their games made, you do see those games that maybe aren't quite up to quality. Like they're not a good quality game. And what happens is maybe they operate a really solid Kickstarter, they pull in the money, they deliver something, and they keep failing or they keep messing up.
Hmm.
And every time a new, creator puts their game out there, it makes it that much harder for first time creators who are actually wanting to do this as a profession versus the people who just want to do this as a hobby. And so there's that constant realization. I talked a little bit about this with Martin too, that it's just going to get that much harder every day I wait for my Kickstarter to decide to launch that. So
Right. Well, let's catch up with some of the folks here in chat.
Yeah.
Hi Aaron, hi Bill, hi Christian from Take Your Chits. Hey, Christy, Peace Loving Games. Did I miss anybody else? So I want to make sure I catch everybody. So one of the ones that popped up here was this a question from Christian from Take Your Chits, and he's getting a little bit impatient, I think. And that is that he's looking to find out what is your favorite board game?
Oof. My favorite board game. I mean, honestly, if I had to like pick one board game and I would never not enjoy it, Ticket to Ride. Like I know it gets flack from people because it's one of the older ones that typically is cited as a game that brings a lot of people into the hobby, but it's still a favorite of mine. I'm a sucker for trains, and when the very first game that I got to play with my now wife, whenever I was introducing her to hobby games, or games outside of the typical games we see, like I brought out the Ticket to Ride Nordic Countries version, which I think is still to this day one of my favorites. 2-player, well, 2 to 3, but 2-player games that you can get your hands on. Outside of that, Patchwork is also an amazing game. So,
yep, Patchwork's a good one. Which reminds me of something Plumpy Thimble did. Did you see his video?
Yes, no, that was really funny. That was I enjoyed that one. I hope he keeps making funny videos.
Yeah, I've been waiting for him to make one for a long time, so I was glad he made one. I'm just kidding, Daniel. I know you're out there. So speaking of Plumpy Thimble, he asks, "What is the biggest board game you think you could be capable of eating in its entirety in a single hour?" I'm not even sure what to make of that.
Single hour. What one can I eat? If I had water, then I could just dip it all into the water, but then that'd be a lot of sludge. I'm not sure. I don't know if there's any games out there that would taste really good.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I got nothing. Hungry Hippos.
Hungry Hippos. All right. Let's see. What else do we have out there? Let's see. Staying away from chat is what I tell my kids all the time. Okay. Daniel loves Millennium Blades. That's always right there. Ticket to Ride. Thomas is your homeboy. You love Thomas the Tank Engine. Okay.
I do love Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yes. And so Erin did pick up on what she thought your favorite game was. So she did
Of
call it
course.
out. So that's good. All right. Bill wants to know, in your opinion, what is the most overrated or underrated game?
Most overrated or underrated game? Oof. I don't know. I feel bad because, you know, this is kind of a side discussion, but I will say this. The more you get into designing games, the more you realize you don't play as many games because you're too busy working on your own game and playtesting all of your games. Um, but I don't really buy into the idea of overrated games because I think there's always an audience for something out there for somebody. Um, but as far as underrated games go, one second. This is a lot. This is gonna have to make me think for a sec.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Bill's got him stumped.
I know. I'm just trying to think about games because all the games I play, everyone says are really good. I mean, yeah, no, I've got nothing on that right now. I my head's going every which way, and yeah, sorry, Bill. Let me think on that just a little bit longer, and I will have an answer, and it'll probably pop up in the middle of another answer I'm talking about.
All right. Take your chits. He wants to know, who's your favorite female singer whose name rhymes with Ariana Grande?
Oof. I'm gonna have to go with Ariana Grande. I think that rhymes, so
Okay.
I think that fits.
At any point was she ever Ariana Vente?
Ooh, that's when she gets older. Ariana Vente.
Okay.
Venti,
Right.
Ariana Venti.
Vente.
Yeah, when she was a kid, she was Ariana Tall.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. And then, okay, I'm gonna skip some of those questions. Do you have a meeple tattooed on your lower back?
I do not. I do not have a meeple tattooed on my lower back.
All right.
Yeah.
Boo, JT. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: as we get into talking about those folks in the industry and how to encourage it and how to grow it, who do you know in the industry that you think others should know better?
Yeah. So I would say people in the industry that others should know better. One guy in particular pops into my head. Peter Newland. He's designed a lot of different games. He hasn't really had any games made though, but he put together this group called the Tabletop Co-op, which is a group that I've done a lot of stuff with, and that's how I actually got to go to the PAX Unplugged show. Not too like last week? Did I just get back? Yeah, so he brought together that group of people as the tabletop co-op, and it's a way for people to kind of share their resources so they can have the chance to show their games at these large conventions, with an actual booth. So I can't even begin to express my gratitude just for putting that group together and getting that going. Another one that I think people should really know, her name's Emma Lark. She's got a couple games, I believe, that's been picked up by publishers. But she put together a group that meets every Wednesday out here in Seattle. It's a group of game designers, and we all get together. We play each other's games. We give each other feedback, and that kind of community is also just invaluable to have for someone like me who is who's still starting and trying to get themselves out there. Yeah, so those I think are two people that I think a lot of people should know more of, for sure. Also, Unstable Unicorns. Totally thought about it. Like I said, that is an underrated game, and it's an amazing party game, and I don't care what anybody else says. It's the artwork is cute, it's fun to play, and you know what? I will die by that sword. I love that game, and I was very happy to be an early backer on that one.
That has hit some mass market appeal too.
It
From what
does.
I've seen. Yeah.
It's actually my number one read post on my website was my game review on that game.
Oh wow.
And yeah, like it's I know it's silly and it's mass markety game, but I don't care. It's underrated or under it's I would say it's under respected by those people who are hobby gamers because I think that's a great way to get people to your table.
Yep. Well, along those lines, somebody by the name of Daniel stole a question from someone by the name of Aaron. So I'm gonna give that to Aaron, not to Daniel. I saw what you did, Daniel. I saw what you did. And it's with the holidays and familial, if I can say that right, obligations coming up. What is your favorite game to introduce to people that have only played Monopoly?
I mean, I think I just said it. Unstable unicorns.
Yeah,
that's probably
unicorns.
what.
Yep.
Honestly, that's probably what made it pop into my head. That question from the wife right there. So that's like a 1-2 punch. She just threw the basketball up there, and I went for the slam dunk. So
you got it. And then Christy from Peace Loving Games asks, would you rather create a game that makes a top list for the year, or acquire a game that's more of a evergreen game?
Evergreen game. Actually, I'll be 100% honest. That is the first time I've heard that term used. But I'm assuming that it's a game that'll always be around, yes, but not necessarily a blast game.
Yeah, so like Ticket to Ride is an evergreen game, right? You're always going to see it, in print.
Got it. Okay. I actually really like that terminology. I'm going to make sure I use that more often. I would say I think there's a part of me that wants I want an evergreen game. Like if I would be completely honest, I love what I've done with Escape the Fest so far. And I've got stories that I want to tell about that game and about that world. And I've got expansions in my head that I want to actually continue to develop and keep taking that game and that world into different directions. So I guess for me, if I could have the next Munchkin, that would be, mind blowing.
Mm-hmm. Christian says that you only ever played Unstable Unicorns. So
yep, that's pretty much it. That's the only game I play.
So he also said it's been said that there's a game out there for everyone. Do you think this is true?
Absolutely. I 100% do. I mean, every creative endeavor, I think there's something out there for someone else. So, if any person says that they don't like something, the challenge is always going to be like, well, you obviously haven't played or done or eaten or heard or listened or watched everything. So there's something out there for you, because all this stuff is just the outpouring of the creative spirit that's in the human experience, right? So I start to sound a little hippie when I talk about this stuff, but to me it's very true. I think that we as people share a lot of more in common than we realize, and so that's one of the things that an artist and a creator gets to do, is find those commonalities, those common threads, and create and send that out.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that there's plenty of opportunity to be able to say that there's something out there for everybody, even those that are kind of grumpy about games.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is coming from 9-year-old Finn.
Nice.
And Finn asked, I feel like I'm Casey Kasem here. Finn writes, what is your favorite type of penguin?
Favorite type of penguin? That would be the emperor penguin. Uh, that yeah, definitely the Emperor Penguin. Now, if we're going for penguin characters, Happy Feet every time
Mm.
because that penguin is adorable and you can't not like Happy Feet.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about PaXU and
Yeah.
your experiences there. So, uh, tell us a little bit about PaXU. This is the second year that they've been around. Of
Yep.
course, they have a little bit of experience with this thing called, you know, PAX West, PAX East, right? So it's not like that's their first rodeo.
Yeah.
But what was it like? So you went to Philly. How'd it go?
I mean, I had an amazing time. It was my first time really in Philly. And so first of all, I'll just say about this city. The city I think is great. I think the infrastructure is there for, the size of the convention. I know that was always one of the issues with PAX Prime back before PAX decided to split up West and East and South. Um, it was like Seattle's a nice sized city, but Seattle really could not handle, that. And it always seemed to happen on the exact same weekend as another larger event that was happening in the city, Bumbershoot, which is a music festival. So the city of Seattle just got bombarded by tons of people. And then the weekend before was the SakuraCon, which is an anime convention. So, yeah. And the infrastructure, in my opinion, just wasn't there to handle all those people. But Philly handled it well.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of great food stops as far as Philly's concerned. Now, as to the convention, I was kind of blown away. Being that this was its second year, I was not envisioning it to be as large as it was. But I think you're 100% right that the fact that it's ran by Reed Exhibitions, they know their stuff, they know what they're doing, and people, they're not perfect. No company is, no person is, for that matter. But they know exactly how to put on a solid convention, and I think that next year we're going to be looking at a much larger PaxU, and arguably, I think PaxU is going to over. I wouldn't be surprised within 2 more years PaxU is going to be larger, or even next year larger than at the very least Origins, and then getting ready to compete with GenCon.
So that leads me into my next question: is PaXU now considered a premier con to attend? Kind of sounds
Absolutely.
like you actually believe that already. So,
Yeah.
did you go last year or was this your first year at PaXU?
So this is my first year at PaxU. I did not get a chance to go last year.
Okay.
I really wanted to, but from everything I was told, just the main exhibit hall itself, the first year, it was just half of it.
Hmm.
So for this one, they had the full exhibit hall, not just half of it, and they had other rooms and downstairs areas for tournaments and other things. So
Okay. So
yeah,
you think it's going to outpace Origins here soon, even potentially next year? So
I think so.
tell me why you think that.
Um, honestly, I think that the reason why it's going to outpace Origins is mainly because of PAX, the community that PAX has created. I think that Origins is still a very important convention, and it's always going to be, a key convention to go to for board games. But that said, I think PAX does a better job at mobilizing its community, and I think PAX has a younger community associated with it, compared to Origins overall. That also said, like, I don't want this to be heard as a Chris hates Origins, because I think Origins is a fantastic convention.
Okay, hold on. Let me take that down from the teleprompter here. Chris hates Origins. I got to delete that.
Oh no,
Okay.
no.
So, I think one thing that that helps Origins out just as the same as Gen Con, right, is its location. It's sitting right in the
True.
Midwest, and I think the thing I kept hearing was how great PaXU was run. But the thing I'm struggling with is how successful is it going to be when it's all the way on the East Coast, right? You
Yeah.
put things in the Midwest, it's a little bit easier for everybody in the country to kind of get to. And so my concern when they first launched it was it's all the way out on the East, right? And we're over here. I'm in California. You're in Washington.
Yep.
You know, where Washington, I have to say that I'm super jealous that earlier this year I went up and I swear it seemed like half the board game community lived in Washington. So, so what do you think? I mean, do you see that as something that gets in the way, or are you saying, nah, it's well worth it to make the travel out to PaXU, and I think other people see the same if they'll show up?
I think it's going to be well worth it to make the trip. That also said, I think that PAX Unplugged is an outpouring of the very large tabletop community that's on the East Coast already.
Okay.
And they saw that in PAX East. And so they still wanted to keep it on the East Coast. They still wanted to keep it close to the northern part of the East Coast. So I think that's PAX recognizing that fact. That also said, you know, I think that it's going to be interesting to see how the main PAXs respond to PAX Unplugged. If they're going to continue to invest and want to see growth of the board game or the tabletop industry at those specific PAXs like PAX South, and PAX East, PAX West, and PAX Australia, or if they're going to try to pull back and just put more emphasis on the digital side of things for those conventions. Not exactly sure, you know, what the answer is going to be, but then again, you know, PAX, that group has a lot more data and a lot more information than I would. Last I checked, they don't even I don't think they share their numbers anymore about who goes or how many people go to the conventions, because there's so many different PAX conventions. They want to try to go ahead and get rid of that idea of people saying, oh, well, this convention's better than this one based off of numbers or something like that.
Right.
But then again, we could see a PAX Unplugged West, so who knows?
Yeah, they could split it up like that. I mean, Dice Tower just did that, right?
Yeah.
They took over, I think it's MeepleCon, if I recall correctly, and decided to do that on the West Coast because they've got the one over there in Orlando. So yeah, they could potentially do it. I mean, they saw the value in doing it for, you know, PAX overall. So why not do that for the Unplugged community?
Yeah.
So the question I would have for you then, put you on the spot then, Chris.
Sure.
Where would you put PaXU West?
PaXU West. If I had that kind of control, honestly, I'd probably go for Salt Lake City. I think that it's not coastal, so it's a little bit further inland. I'll be able to pull in more people from the middle America over to the West Coast, and then that's an easy, you know, puddle jumper from us who are already living here.
Right.
It's a large city, and I don't know. I think that they would probably welcome a board game convention. Just knowing what I know about Salt Lake City.
Well, they had, I think it was this summer, they did a designer kind of convention where they had like Rob Davio, they had Tin Flowers and a number of other people that were running a kind of a convention just for designers out of there. So
yeah, and I backed that on Kickstarter.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
Yeah, so I supported that. I think that was great. I think that my number one issue with that, and I made sure I let them know that too, was the fact that that convention was being held at a ski resort, basically. And so my feedback was, you know, if you want this to be more like a GDC except for tabletop, then it needs to be in a metro area that people can have access to other accommodations and things like that.
Okay. Well, yeah, it didn't seem like it was very big. So it would
No.
definitely have to be much bigger. But I think they were also trying that digital run at it too. Right?
True.
Where they were letting you in digitally. So real quick, guys, I just got a notification on my phone that today's Gary's birthday. So make sure you tell Gary Pope happy birthday from Late to the Table. So
Yes,
he'd
make sure to
appreciate
do that.
So, anyway, so one of the questions Bill had here, asking about PaXU, would you recommend PaXU as the best con for a person's first board game convention?
For their first board game convention, honestly, I think for first board game conventions, if I could go back and redo it myself, because my first board game convention was actually Origins, and loved Origins. I think it was great. That's a great place to go for your first one. But finding local board game conventions, smaller ones, and getting to know people within the local community, I think it would be a better call for someone's first time, so they can meet more people that are more localized, that they can then reach out to them and say, hey, you like these games, I like these games, and you're only 30 minutes away. Versus if I go to Origins, I'm on the West Coast. I'm like, you like these games, I like these games, and maybe tabletop simulator ?
Okay. All right. So any other questions from folks there in the chat? I want to make sure we give folks just another opportunity to do that before we get into our lightning round. We are coming up on time, and I want to make sure we get through this lightning round with Chris here. So Bill, our resident Canadian here, is saying Oregon is not very close to me, unfortunately. So he's going to have a challenge with that, although I'm not sure if he understands the geography of things.
Salt Lake City's in Utah, but
yeah,
still further away.
Still further away, yeah. But I think he's making a joke. Any other questions out there? Everybody's wishing Gary Pope a happy birthday, so that is good.
Side note, Gary is also another great person I think people should get to know in the industry. He does a lot. He's very helpful. Yeah. Really cool guy.
And he does a lot of things behind the scenes for some other things I don't think people really recognize. So this is the only time I'm going to say he doesn't get enough credit that he deserves. And this is the one time, Gary. This is it. No more. If you actually watch this. But anyway, so all right. Well, hey, let's get into some lightning round questions here. Let's see if we can mess with you in the catch here. So I've got myself fired up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, I'm ready.
I got 12 questions for you, lightning round. Here we go.
Okay.
So those of you at home, we are going to. He said Origins, not Oregon. Okay, so he was mixing up.
Nice.
So we're gonna get started here with that, and then we'll see if there's any last minute questions, and we'll see people off here. So lightning round. Those of you at home that are playing at home, you can try to answer these questions as well, and see if you can be as quick and lightning in your reflexes as Chris. So here we go. This is called the catch. First question up is: what is your meeple color of choice in a game?
Red.
All right. If your friends were asked, who is Chris's favorite board game designer, what would they say?
Probably Rosenberg. Uwe Rosenberg.
Uwe. All right. Sounds like Pig Latin. Uwe.
I know, right?
Yep. All right. Next up here is what board game universe would you want to live in?
If I would like to say mine, because I really like my universe, and I do have a character based off me in the universe. But if I can't say mine, nothing to do with Cthulhu at all. I'd probably say probably Dungeons and Dragons. I don't want to make a game that goes into medieval stuff. But the idea of going into a world like that, I don't know, like the idea of going into a C.S. Lewis Tolkien type world.
Okay. All right. So I heard see a couple people out there. Take Your Shit says brown, and Bill says blue, and Aaron says green or pink. And then Take Your Chits. He wants to live in the Unstable Unicorns universe.
That'd be pretty crazy.
Yep. All right. Coming on next. What TV channel doesn't exist but really should?
A TV channel that doesn't exist but really should. I mean, I'd like to see TV for gamers come back. G4 was great when I was in.
Oh man.
When I was in high school, you know, I'd love to see that come back.
Yeah, G4 TV was pretty cool. I used to record a lot of the stuff off there, especially the convention coverage that they would pick up. So, as I would be sitting at home crying in my ice cream about not going. All right.
Same.
All right, next up. What makes you laugh every time?
I laugh every time when I get into a debate with the wife, and there's a certain face that she makes when she realizes that I'm right.
Oh.
And then she's going to continue to say the exact same thing over and over, but her voice gets higher and higher and higher. And so I laugh every time because I do the exact same thing too, but it's just one of those weird things.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, that's how ballsy I am. I don't play by the rules.
I learned a long time ago as a husband, I can either be right or I can be happy. I only choose one. So, I'll let you folks at home figure out where he's at this point. Take Your Chits says, take your chits 24 hours a day. That would require you making more content, Christian.
Yes, we need more content from you.
Boardy TV is a board game TV on Roku and Amazon Fire. Aaron threw in, if you could live in D&D, what race or class would you want to be?
Oh, I mean, I would be a dwarven cleric more than likely, because that was the first one I ever was. Or since she's calling me out now, saying lies, you know, a bard more, I guess. Bard, wizard, warlock. I don't know. She'll tell me what I'm supposed to be, I guess.
Yeah, I think the chat is catching up a little bit with the part you were just talking about. What makes you laugh every time?
Oh, okay.
So that might be.
Or that could be too.
Yeah. Oh, yikes! All right.
Oh, man.
So here's next up, lightning round question. What game do you wish you could erase from memory so you could experience it all over again for the first time?
Honestly, I would say Monopoly, and the only reason why, because Monopoly has so much history associated with it, all kinds of bad moments and house rules. If I could completely wipe it away and go to it as someone who's 100% new, maybe I might play it exactly how it's supposed to be played.
Okay.
And then I'll put it away and just never talk about it again.
Yep. Hey, birthday boy just joined the chat, so happy birthday, Gary. Love you. Glad you're here. So.
Hey, Gary.
All right. Next up here, what board game title best describes your life?
I'm going to go ahead and say Risk, because that's what I'm doing right now with my life. I am going into this industry just, head first, jumping into the water and seeing if it works out. So I'm going to go with that one.
All right. And also Risk for making comments about your wife. Okay, so moving along here.
She's used to it, though.
Yep. And Late to the Table says he would experience Verse again for the first time. So, if you didn't know, Take Your Chits, Plumpy Thimble, and Late to the Table are all going to be doing their first hardcore rap album, according to the pictures I saw on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So, all right. And then next up, some people would say there are two types of gamers in the world. What are those two types of gamers?
I would say the two types of gamers are the people who would look at someone and say, just find the games you love, enjoy games, and have fun. And then the gamers who say, accept those games, and that game, and that game, and that game, and that game.
Okay.
And if you like that game, then you should just go ahead and sell your collection of games and stop playing board games altogether.
All right. Next up is, what is your Grail game?
Grail game being like the best game or just a solid game. I would say it would probably be either Seven Wonders Duel or Patchwork. And again, it's Grail game for me because the person I play games with the most is going to be my wife. But both of those games are they're just solid. I can't seem to find fault in them, and I've tried. So,
okay. Among your friends, what are you famous for?
Unstable unicorns. Among my friends, I would say I'm either known as the guy who brings games to parties that a lot of times never really get played, even though he tries.
Yep.
Or the guy who, can take anything and turn it into a philosophical moment and a deep conversation in like 5 seconds.
Okay. So, Gary says there's the two types of those that like cats and those that like dogs. So, I think he's on the dog side. I could be wrong.
I'm a cat person.
You're a cat person?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
That explains a lot between the both of you. So, all right. If you had a choice of anybody within the board game industry, who would you have lunch with?
I would like either Jamie Stegmaier, or James Hudson right now. I think both of those guys have done a lot of really good stuff as far as modern games are concerned. I think Jamie is killing it on modern hobby, the modern hobby gaming side, and being able to develop and create a successful business and be a self-publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think James is killing it on what does it mean to hustle in this community, what does it mean to build community, and I think those two guys are I look up to them, and anytime I get the opportunity to watch their live talks, I will set aside that time just to listen to them.
Yeah, those are two folks that are giving away a lot of the industry secrets for free.
Yeah.
And they are doing a lot to help everybody around the community. And so, I know some of them get flack for different reasons, that I'll leave unsaid from people I've seen online. But I do think that they genuinely invest a lot of time and effort into this community. And they do a lot of work that is unnecessary, I think, to their brand. But I think is really helpful to everybody in the community. I don't saying it doesn't help. It certainly helps their brand with them being out there, but I don't.
Yeah.
They are certainly people that invest a lot. They give way more than they take.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree with that.
Yep. All right. Here we go. This is number 12, and this is worth 2,000 points.
Okay.
So this is your final question. There's a fire in your board game library. What is that one game that you save?
Oh man, that one game that I save. It doesn't happen to be Unstable Unicorns, though. I'm gonna make that known. Okay. The one game I save would actually be the Ticket to Ride Nordic Countries copy that I have, because it's the exact copy that I played with my now wife when I introduced her to all this. So I'm sentimental.
Okay, that's good. Well, that was the correct answer, so you did score an additional 2,000 points. So congratulations, Chris. You won.
Oh, man, thank you. Oh, so happy about this. there's a lot of people that I just want to thank. My family, they've been there for me. The wife, hey, the kids I don't have, make sure you're going to bed on time. But yeah, it's great.
It's great. Okay. All right. Oh boy. So I won't tell you what you won because there's nothing really to tell you. So we'll have to figure something out with that. Maybe I need to get a bigger budget. So to catch up on some folks here, I know that there was a number of people trying to jump in and throw in their 2 cents. Finn says that his favorite is Monopoly. Is that his favorite, or was that the one that he would save? I'm not sure if I'm catching up on that one, Christy, so you have to hit me up. Rodney's vlog. I'm not sure if you've seen that, Chris. That has certainly been something worthwhile, Rodney Smith's vlog.
Okay. Rodney, is that...
Watch It Played.
Watch It Played, yeah,
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, nope, that's a good one.
He's been doing a vlog as of late, and just kind of showing you around Canada.
Oh, cool.
But of course, that's Bill, our resident Canadian, who is pumping that one. So Erin is talking about, she said that you need to save your game ideas notebook from the fire. So
yeah, I've got a whole slew of just ideas that I just keep with me. So, but this is just the games, I think. So.
Yep. And then late to the table, Gary is going to die in the fire as he tries to grab everything from Kingdom Death Monster.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I was like, that's a big ask.
It's going to take him a long time to grab all that stuff. You better get that into some kind of carrying case or something, Gary, because there's no way you're getting out of a fire with that one. So maybe your dog can help you out, carry the load or something.
Work on the leg muscles, do some squats because you're going to have a lot to carry. Lift from the legs.
Lift from the legs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Monopoly is what Finn thought that you would save, Chris.
Ouch. Oh, man.
So
I don't have a copy of Monopoly.
Uh-oh. Well, I guess he can't save that one. So maybe he would have. Maybe he would have, Finn. Yeah. If
I had one.
own it. Yeah, if he had one. So all right. So any other questions coming up here? Chris, anything you would like to say just before we're getting ready to sign off here? Anything you want to give to the folks out there?
I mean, nothing much. I just appreciate being the first one for you to have this chance to experiment what it's like to do the live interviews. It's been a lot of fun. Like I was saying earlier, I love reading all these things in the chat because it's just a constant reminder again that, like we were talking about earlier, that this is a community and everyone in the community, we're all nerds at heart. And so I think one of the things I really love about it is just how much everyone just wants to have fun and care about each other's thoughts and play with each other. And it's just awesome. So.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And Gary continues to say leg day has not been skipped a single time, not once. So, and Finn would say D&D or Warhammer. So,
well, he's doing better than Christian as far as working out then.
Yes. Well, but today's the day, right? So Finn and I have seen Christie's basement, and I tell you what, that would be a lot to try to haul out of there. So Finn, that is a brave young man, trying to get his way out of there. So, good times. So let's just get to it, Chris. Where can people find you, and where can people find out more about Escape the Fest?
Yeah, so you can find more about me at foolishpandagames.com. That's where I post all of my reviews and thoughts about the industry and Kickstarter spotlights when I'm talking about other projects that I think are really interesting to me. So you can find out more of my thoughts there. EscapeTheFest.com is there if you want to find out a little bit more information about Escape the Fest, the game itself. But mostly you could find me interacting with people in Facebook land. I'm not the best in the Twitter sphere. because I just I could care less about Twitter sometimes. I'm more of an Instagram person. So yeah, you can find me all there.
Okay. So check them out at Escape the Fest and Foolish Panda Games. And also, if you like memes, certainly go out to the Facebook group, and I'll have that in the description below as well, for the Facebook group called Chaotic Cardboard. And
Yeah.
it's a fantastic place. This is where I've really got to interact with Chris and troll him like no tomorrow.
This is true.
But it's where if you post something, you have to post it in the form of a meme. And so certainly give that place a check if you want to do something around memes, but it's all about board game memes. So if you don't have enough of those, certainly go check out his group. So with all that said, I do want to say a big thank you to Chris for coming on the 100th episode or a 100th video of the G Club channel here. This is our first live interview that we've ever done, so I do appreciate you jumping on and being the guinea pig for this event. And and I certainly apologize to Christian for Take Your Chits as we run out of time, and we'll have to reschedule him later. So we're just out of time. I don't have enough time to have him on. So we had a good time. I hope you did too. And if you had fun, hit that subscribe button, and of course hit the like button here if you like Chris's beard. And if you didn't like his beard and you like mine, hit the like button as well. So which way you're going to hit one, right? But anyway, I do appreciate everybody in the chat. It sounds like we had a good run here on Facebook. And let's see, how does it feel to run the best group on Facebook, right? So we do appreciate everybody jumping on. The chat has been fun. So thanks, Bill. Thanks, Christian. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Christy. Thanks, Daniel, even though you're off here. Unsubscribed. So thanks everybody for joining. So glad to have you all on, and hopefully we'll do this again with somebody else as well, and we'll see you then. So thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.